Alright, so here's something really vulnerable. I realized that why I'm struggling to lock in on certain aspects of work is because now it's nothing that I can blame on the ex-husband. And that was a really humbling thing to realize because that was about the lowest kick in the fucking gut, nuts, whatever the fuck you want, that was very humbling. Because I was like, why am I struggling getting into some of these harder things so hard? I'm like, why am I really struggling? Because before I loved doing it. And when I said that sentence in my head, I thought about that, and I thought about, well, what part was it that I loved? And I'm talking about even when we were married and happy, which we, neither here nor there. Why did I love when he would call me in and have me investigate shit into the business? Because none of it was my fault. I got to just figure out who was the one fucking up, and that was fun. And it turns out it's not so fun when it's your own, blood, sweat, and tears on the line, which my blood, sweat, and tears have been poured into this fucking outlet for years now, but it's different, obviously, for many, many reasons now. And I realized that is why I am struggling. So that was a punch in the gut and a slap in the fucking face. But because I probably say at least 2 or 3 times a week on here that my biggest pet peeve is a fucking hypocrite, yeah, that fucking sucked. But I'm not a fucking hypocrite. And that pointed out to me that, when the business had its first downfall in the beginning of 2024, I didn't go easy on him over that. I was really hard on him over it, and rightfully so. A lot of it was I watched it unfold before my eyes. He didn't listen to a lot of the intuition and things that I had talked to him about, but I got a little high off of it, of course, I'm not gonna lie. Having to be the one to go in and fix it, knowing that he had fucked it up because he didn't listen to me. Yeah, of course, yeah, that felt nice. Felt kind of like payback for, him treating me like shit at home. Which also, I take a part of. Because I don't know, I mean, I teach my daughters that if you're gonna haul off and hit someone, you gotta be prepared to be hit back. And, all of, those like that shit was started by me in the first place. Sorry, there's like a cat here. Right? I think that it makes it really easy to point the finger and to just be mad at him, like he's the abuser. When I think about, like, the wrongs we did on a scale, do you know what I mean? Like, if it's on a scale of 1 to 10, or if it's on a dartboard, or if we had a panel of judges score them, like, I've kind of ranked our wrongs in my head like that. I'm actually gonna start to cry because I feel bad. I don't like that. I don't know if I did it on purpose, but I think that I thought that was kind of how sin worked, because when I thought about in the Bible where it says an eye for an eye, in my head, that means something equal for something equal. And because I had never hurt him quite as bad as he had hurt me, and never intentionally, and I'd never come close to any of those things, I, allowed myself to be like, he fucked it all up. And that's not true. And that's not to even go into relationship stuff. I'm talking about business stuff because I just had that epiphany just now, and I was like, gosh, why am I struggling so bad with getting into these certain aspects of work? Why am I avoiding it so bad? Because normally it's one of my favorite things. The numbers of the business is my favorite part. And I realize that the only difference is that now if something happens, the only blame falls on me. I can't blame it on somebody else. So yeah, I just thought that I would share that. rip off my balls, hand it to you. You keep them in your pocket for me. And let's see if that will hold everybody accountable on this Monday morning. Or at least encourage someone else to also be accountable. Because it fucking sucks. The cat just made that noise. Anyways, it's like a little bit after midnight on Monday, July 28th, 2025. And I'm just now realizing, I am today years old, realizing that when they mean like an eye for an eye or limb for a limb or any of that, that there's no hierarchy to the level of which you should feel shame or burden or responsibility or accountability to your own actions based off of the other person, if that makes sense. Which, that's confused me though, because when I said that, I also was getting the thought of, like no sin is greater than, sin is sin. And like, I knew that too. But like in my head, those were two different spectrums. It was like, one of those is a spectrum line going this way, the other is a spectrum line going vertical, and they're not the same, they're not touching. Those are two separate categorizations of what we're talking about. And so it's like, but now when I'm looking at them both together, it's showing me how it's like latitude and longitude makes the world, makes the globe. And it's showing me that. And that's a spectrum. The spectrum isn't just, we know that it's not a straight line. We know that a spectrum is a circle. And all you think about the little colors or data points inside. But it's also not just a circle. It's a sphere. And it's also not just a sphere. It's multidimensional. And that in that regard, it points out pretty obvious to me that it is all equal. And that's not to be self-deprecating. That's just to kind of show me that, I don't know. Very humbling, though. I'm getting that Somebody Save Me song by Jelly Roll. Wow. And God's showing me that that's been my, mentality. Somebody save me from myself, blah, blah, blah. I always thought that because I never struggled with addiction, that kind of stuff wasn't relatable to me. So I always thought about it and listened to it and thought about Steven resonating with that song. And that makes me feel like a fucking asshole, man. Like, that makes me actually feel like a fucking douchebag. That makes me look so fucking self-righteous and high and mighty and like cringe Christian. That actually fucking hurts. Wow. No, I'm not saying that to put myself down. I'm saying it to let it sink in that I really have been completely looking at it from a skewed perspective. Not intentionally, but now I understand it. And I'm grateful for it, but also uncomfy. That doesn't feel good to admit that I was a judgmental, cynical bitch for a lot of that time as well. And that a lot of the things I did subliminally contributed to, his physical violence. But, there's no, these damn flies. There's no real record, knock on wood, 3D record. There's record, but not what 3D humans are aware of. Well, all of them. Not all of them are. I am. Never mind. But the subliminal things that I would do to piss him off or to get back at him, or to kind of take a little bit of power back, but not the right kind, those don't have as clear of a record. So it's easy for me to be like, yeah, look at this time you broke my nose. Look at this time you blah, blah, blah. Look at this time I have these bruises. But he can't necessarily do that. Even though it was still there, and I know it was. And a lot of that was protective, but I can also see where it would have then still, hamster wheeled that same energy. So even though it was protective, it was reactive abuse, but it was still contributing to the dance of back and forth. In kind of this last year or so, I had allowed myself to really say it was just him. I knew I had been wronged, or I knew I had done wrong. I knew I had not been perfect, but like, in my head it was like, still, but not in the way to be treated like that. But not in the way that I should be left or cheated on for, or divorced or whatever else. Like, it was still like I was admitting it, but not, I was doing the safe admit of, I know nobody's perfect, and I know I wasn't perfect. I haven't been perfect in this relationship. But that's like the easy bullshit thing to say. I wasn't doing it on purpose, but now I'm seeing that I was really afraid of, like, saying, like really putting in, like, I think I was afraid of being compared to him as a person. Ultimately, I think that's what it was, is I was afraid of the things that I had also done, making me as diabolical of a person. And I see how that's saying that is even a skewed judgment, because that's also hypocritical. But taking that aside, taking that away from it, it's like, the point there is that those things don't define me either way. He's the kind of person he is regardless of those things. I'm the kind of person I am regardless of those things. If you take those things away, we each are still the kind of people we are. And that even if, I contributed to abusive factors and toxicity knowingly, which I'm not proud of, I think the reason why I was unable to fully admit that and kind of be like, yeah, like, I don't know. I wasn't really like, I was taking accountability without actually doing it, I think. I was surface level doing it, and I really thought I was doing it, but I see now that I wasn't. And that's because I was afraid of being put in the same category or the same box as him. And first of all, I don't like to be that person, to think I'm better than somebody. Even if I am, it's all based off of different perspective and lens and circumstances and experiences anyways. So to some people I might be, to some people I'm not, and it is what it is. But that's also goes back to like the spectrum thing about how all the different data sets, it shifts in it. Wow. Sorry, they're showing me like, it's like a 3, it's almost, it's like a 5D model almost. It's like if you were to go on a computer and do like the CAD CAM stuff. It's like they're showing me that, but energetically. And how none of those things make us any better or worse than anybody we've ever wronged or been wronged by. And I think it's hard for us to admit in our heads, because we know our hearts and we know the way that other person hurt us, and that we wouldn't want someone else to hurt that way, and that we wouldn't do that. So I'm not going to put myself on the same level as him for doing that to me, because I would never fucking do that. But it's apples to oranges, because you also haven't lived his experiences and experienced your own fucking energy from his perspective. And I'm not saying that his responses and reactions were okay. I'm just pointing out how neutral it really is. In my head, I think in our heads when we go through a divorce or something, especially when you come out of an abusive situation, because that's what it was abusive, and I needed to leave. He was physically abusive. But when you come out of it, in your head, you're thinking of it as you versus them. Like it was like good versus evil or something. Like it's like they are, the villain, right? Obviously they are. If they're an abuser, they're in your head, that's what they are. kind of with everything I just described, it's just showing me how much of a seesaw it is, that it's really equal. Because yes, in that moment in time, given those circumstances, given that level of personal healing that we each had, given all of the factors that go into that, my seesaw landed higher than his. But that's not to say that at a different point in time, in a different time span, in a different set of stress, in a different set of understanding or personal growth or healing or trials or tribulations, whatever, that I might not have reacted similar, that would have flopped it back. Do you know what I mean? Regardless, you're equal. Even if one is doing more or less, because the axis is still getting grounded to the same fucking axis in the center. And that's where the longitude and the latitude meet. And I don't know if I said this backwards, I don't know. But I think that all of that is really important because it kind of shows how, on a scientific, medical, psychological standpoint, spirituality can be articulated and backed up with certain things that people act like are hard to fit. And really it's not. I don't know. I don't know why it makes me want to fucking write a book. But I'm not standing here like knowing a whole lot about it. I'm getting this idea that I need to sit and channel a book. Ooh. I'm not going to go into any more detail. But I did want to share all of that. Because it does feel better to just say it out loud. But not to say it out loud and for it to sit in my camera roll to never be seen. I want to post it just for that accountability. Just because I feel like if at least another set of eyes have seen it, then it's like, in a way, it's like it activates it for me. It like activates the energy that I've already manifested in a way. Because again, it's someone else also propelling. Its energy is so, oh my gosh, it's all so reciprocal, and people don't understand that. They think that energy is wavelengths like this, like levels stacked on top of each other. No, bitch, it's like a sphere. It's like it's a science thing. I'm thinking of one of those science things where like science teachers will have it sitting on their desk. It's kind of like an atom, but it has a bunch of different things like rings and shit that's like, I think it is an atom. I don't know. I'm gonna look fucking stupid. But in a way that fucking shows you that whatever I'm channeling is I really don't know exactly what I'm saying, but it makes fucking sense, and I know that it's legit. And I know that I have a purpose in saying it. So I'm gonna go though because I'm hungry as fuck. And I'm thirsty. But whoa, I literally feel 10 pounds lighter. Not in a pride way either. Not like, oh, I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself for getting there. I'm so proud of myself for reaching this level. No, honestly, in like a really just kind of, well, I mean, what do we do now? Kind of a feeling. It's not apathy. It's literally, it's like contentment, but just like, is that humility? Oh my gosh, don't make fun of me. Please don't be mean to me in the comments. I'm doing my best. I have tried so hard my whole fucking life to understand these words and the context and the connotations and how people use them. Please tell me this is just like a late diagnosed autism thing and I'm not just absolutely fucking stupid. I have tried my hardest my whole fucking life to understand basic shit. And I don't understand it because I'm really fucking smart. I'm really fucking smart. Like, I've taught myself how to fucking code. I am fucking smart, but when it comes to certain things, I feel like I'm learning things that a toddler is learning. And it's like, that's hard to not allow myself to feel like an idiot, but I know I'm not. I'm fucking smart. I'm gonna stop talking. I want to hear thoughts, opinions, interjections, citations, salutations, and greetings too. Manifestations, intentions. What is the cat's playing with some weird shit on the thing? Did you hear that? I just moved the fucking sink. And the cat is chewing up a roll of toilet paper like a psychopath. So that's my cue. And that also means that Spirit's absolutely here. It's my orange cat. Who, got the little toilet paper off of that thing. Just between me and you, I low-key, high-key, wholly believe he's my spirit, one of my spirit guides. So that would make this make sense. Sorry I didn't learn it the first 562 times. I don't know why I said that number, but that means that I need to look that up in my book because it's some sort of a number that's relevant. I don't fucking know. Bye.